Hey guys, Dan here,
And Frank,
and we are the Mazer Squad here with episode 14. We're going to be covering Territory Issue 3, Godzilla The Series Episode 6, and the new Power Rangers special, Power Rangers Once and Always. So,
great special.
yeah, it was actually ended up being really good. But before we do all that, we're going to go into just some really brief news. Starting off with a game that we've covered a couple times on the show so far, but SD Shin Kamen Rider, the little chibi beat 'em up game that's coming out for Nintendo Switch, should be shipping soon. So if you guys ordered that, check your mailboxes.
Yeah, I got my tracking. It's shipping from Hong Kong, it looks like. I got ordered it from PlayAsia, so that looked like it was one of the only places you could get it from. It's out on the Nintendo Switch store now if you want to get it digitally, but if you want it physical, PlayAsia is the way to go. It's $29. After shipping, I think it was like 32, $35, which is still great for the game. And I'm not sure if we're getting the DLC stateside yet or what, but there's going to be Shin Universe DLC where you can get Shin Godzilla in the game, the Evas, Ultraman, and then there'll be additional levels and everything. So it should be really cool. It looks like a really fun, like, Double Dragon style beat 'em up game. It looks like it's going to be a fun game to play. I can't wait to play it. I haven't seen anybody talking about it online really, but it looks like it's a fun time though. If you check the trailer out, check it out.
Yeah, it should be a fun one.
And of course the movie's coming out 31st in theaters. If you guys haven't got your tickets yet,
Yes,
go get them.
31st.
May 31st. We got our tickets, so we'll be there.
Yeah, we will be there. Speaking of summer movies, we have the Meg 2. So is this trailer out, or is this was that shown at a con or something?
It was shown at CinemaCon last week, and all the descriptions sound absolutely insane. It opens up saying, "Oh, for 62 million years or whatever, one predator has ruled the world," and it starts off with a dragonfly that gets eaten by a lizard, which then in turn gets eaten by something else, and then a T-Rex eats it, and then a Meg jumps out of the water and eats the T-Rex, and it's a trailer for the Meg 2. We believe it's the trench if they're following the books. Then further into the trailer, there's descriptions of Jason Statham running down a dock as he gets torn up, sort of Godzilla 98 vibes there, based on that description to me. Influencer getting eaten by the Meg. So many people getting eaten. Apparently, it ends with Jason Statham on a jet ski, I believe, jumping at the Meg. I don't know if that's a Fonzie reference to jumping the shark or what.
I mean, the end of the last movie, he kind of killed it with like a giant boat spear thing.
He killed it with a Gungan submarine, basically.
Yeah, but didn't he start stabbing because that got destroyed, and he stabbed it with a piece of shrapnel or something?
Well, he was cutting it up with the boat at the end.
Yeah, just so.
With it was a submarine at the end that was shaped like a stingray, kind of like an episode on a Star Wars.
Yeah, but then didn't you say? I thought I remember you saying in the text me about this show. Doesn't he have a sword or something in this one?
I don't remember if he did. I don't know have the full description on hand in front of me right now. I'm just going off of what I remember off the top of my head.
I just remember what you texted me, just sounding absolutely insane.
It did. The whole trailer sounds absolutely insane, but
there's other monsters.
The whole premise, this sounds like there's gonna be other monsters or dinosaurs and whatnot. It sounds like it's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
I've been saying I want to read the book series for years, and I just have a backlog. If you can see above my head here, it's just a pile of books on a shelf that I gotta read. I'm eventually gonna read them, but this movie it sounds insane. I can't wait for the trailer. I'm thinking it's gonna drop sometime this month. I'm hoping this week would be great.
Yeah, and speaking of that reading backlog, I started reading Spectreman Heroes, the trade paperback version. So if you guys were a Kickstarter backer, check your inboxes. You probably have a link to the digital version. It's really high quality.
Yeah, it's a massive digital version. It's like 500 gigs almost,
Yeah,
right?
it's 472
Yeah,
megabytes, so it's
that's a
almost half a gig.
yeah, it's a hefty file.
Yeah, and
But
I've read the first one, Electrozoborger, pretty good.
yeah,
Um, the only thing that bothered me so much, if you guys don't know, I'm an X-ray tech by trade. There's a picture of an X-ray in this comic book. So not only is it being displayed backwards, but instead of showing like the pacemaker that the character has, they put like two like SD, clearly X-rays of SD card slots on the guy's chest. So I was just like, that's hilarious. But yeah, really good quality art. And talking about good quality art, we have Kong the Great War comic book coming out on May 10th. So very soon.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool one. It takes place during World War One. A U-boat crashes on Skull Island, and it's pretty much the crew needs to survive. And I read the description for issue 2, and it sounds like it's going to be like a really short time span that this story takes place. Sort of like, I guess, sort of in the movies. The movies all kind of take over a short time span when they're on the island. I feel like.
Yeah.
And the second issue sounds like, oh, they survived one night. Can they survive another night with more beasts coming out of the jungle? The cover arts look insane for this now. Like,
they really do.
They have been like, this was announced like back in like, it might have been announced back in like December, January, and all like the covers have been like just shown black and white,
Yeah, it said
approval pending and stuff like that.
I still see listings with that on it.
There's still some of the covers for issue 2 and issue 1 are like that, but there's like 4 covers for issue 1 out. All of them look incredible. The artwork, and that's supposed to be dropping May 10th, which is next Wednesday. So the show will probably be out right before it comes. So
yeah,
May 10th, guys, keep an eye out for that.
May
and then
10th.
It's supposed to be monthly.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened with the Kamen Rider 01, the final issue. It was supposed to be out back at the end of March, I think, and it's still not out yet.
Probably printer issues.
Yeah, probably. And I know they had some issues with the Kuga mangas.
Yeah, as far as the translations go.
The translations, they said that they weren't great. And
like the speech bubbles were covering up the art.
Yeah. And I saw the one example of a picture online. I haven't got to read the second issue yet where they said it was really bad. But I flipped through, I saw the one picture online that they said, and I went through the book, and I really only saw that one page that somebody saw a picture of, but like I said, I didn't read the whole thing yet. But they put out a statement saying that they were going to work on it, and I believe it is the same company is doing the 01 comic that is doing the Kuga manga. I know it's, I can't think of the name of it right now. I want to say it's Titan Manga and another company that's doing a comic, but Titan is kind of blanketing over there. Both of them are like a co-project. But yeah, that should be coming sometime soon. Keep an eye out on your mailboxes for Kamen Rider 01 issue 4.
Yeah, so Godzilla the Great Wars is on May 10th. On May 11th, we have Ultraman, the final season on Netflix.
Yeah.
I
don't know if I'm ready.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm like, I want to watch it, but I also don't want it to end, so I don't want to watch it. It's a really bad habit that I have where like a show has like a final season. I like don't watch it for months because I'm like, no, it's not over. It's not over.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the first season a lot. The second season, to me, I get it was done during COVID and everything. It felt like a movie to me that was just chopped up into six parts, I believe.
Yeah.
It basically ran like a 2.5 hour, 2 hour, 45-minute movie.
Yeah.
Basically, that second season.
There's no word on what this is doing. I really hope that it covers a wider span of time because season 2 takes place in one night.
Yeah, season 2 is literally one night.
Meanwhile, I got the feeling that the first season was like 6 months.
Yeah.
At least. So I'm like, I really want more from the finale.
Yeah,
I hope it's not just one big arc. It could be, but I kind of just want
like
more.
there's so many characters. Like the way season two ended, like Jack was going back to America with Kotaro, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I feel like they could just give those two guys their own series, but I'm assuming because of the way Netflix is, that they're like, let's just wrap it up before we get canceled. Like, I would
Yeah.
love to see a spinoff. Maybe they can do it because they're like, listen, oh, we'll do a spinoff. Hopefully, we could get a season two out of that, cut it short, and I'm a fan of spinoffs.
Yeah, and
Sometimes,
and who
if it's done
knows?
right.
Maybe this did so well. That's why Super Rai is putting so much effort into dubbing now.
Yes, yeah,
Because
yeah,
as said on the last podcast,
yeah.
they're doing a dub of, oh my god, I keep forgetting the name of the
Ultraman Z and Blazar.
Blazar. That's the one. So the new season is getting an English dub that will be simultaneously released.
And they are doing Regulos. I don't know if that is getting a dub. I know that's coming out on this.
Is that on Ultraman Connect? Is that the Connect
Is it
series?
Connect? I don't know if it's on Connect or if it's going to be on the Soberaya YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, I
But
don't understand what Connect is because I feel like they were always like, oh, it's going to be on Connect and you have to pay for Connect, but it's also on our YouTube channel that's free.
do you have to pay for Connect?
I always thought you had to. I don't know if it's a streaming service or just like their own website.
I don't think you do. I think I'm signed up for it. I'm pretty sure I never put a credit card in.
Oh, well, I think they put like their movies on, like some of like the movies on there.
I'm not.
There might be a
100%
paid
sure.
option.
I'm going from the Showa era to now. I think for this Blazar series though, I am gonna watch it
Yeah.
right away. The trailer looks insane. I've been seeing some screenshots and production photos. It looks absolutely incredible. It looks like, I mean, all of them have looked really good lately, but this just looks next level. It looks like they really stepped it up for the series, and it looks a little different. He's got this mecha robot with him that looks like a Mecha Godzilla.
I'm just waiting for later in the season where they have like a team up mode or something.
Yeah, that would be cool, like a Gridman type of thing.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm referencing.
Yeah. And I don't know when that movie's coming out over here in the States. I mean, Dyna Zenon took a really long while to get its English dub released here.
But again, that was a pandemic thing again.
Yeah. Like when they did SSS Gridman, they would do on Funimation they would release the Japanese with subtitles. Following week you'd get the English dub, and then it would be pretty much every other week you'd get an episode. I really hope we get that movie here because I want to see the conclusion of that too.
I'm sure we will.
That's another thing that basically ended in, we'll say 3 seasons, even though it's 2 seasons in a movie. But like I said, I felt like Ultraman was 1 season, a movie, and I don't know what season 3 is going to be.
Yeah.
But season 2 felt like a movie to me. You could
was.
easily cut the whole thing together and play it straight through, and it would be a movie. There was maybe one thing where it flashed back where you'd be like, all right, I mean, that doesn't quite flow right, but
I've watched it twice and I've always watched it in one sitting, so it's a movie to me.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And speaking of Netflix Ultraman, that movie is still on the horizon, 2024.
And we got a brief description last week. It was like you might have missed it. It sounds like the Ultraman host for this is going to be like a baseball star.
Yeah,
which is pretty interesting. I think that's something different. Because I've gone through the Showa era, and every host has been different. We've had the first 2 were like basically military guys. The third one was a race car driver. Fourth one was a bread delivery man, which was like super normal. Bread delivery man and a nurse, because it was 2 hosts to start the season.
Yeah.
And then during the times, they weren't very big fans of the female being a host of Ultraman. So they kind of wrote her out, and the other issue behind it at the time was that children couldn't do a pose since it was two hosts, so they need to come up with a pose for the transformation, the henshin, for them to sell products.
Yeah. Well, like Decker was a sweet shop, like he had his family owned a sweet shop,
Yeah,
and then it got destroyed from like an alien invasion, so he joined Guts.
yeah, yeah. No, they all end up joining a military force. And then Taro, I don't really. I just started. I'm 3 episodes in, and from what I could gather, he was just traveling the world on board a ship. Like he was kind of a wanderer. So he wasn't really. I don't know what his occupation is, but now he joined up with the task force too.
Yeah.
I only have one more after that, just Leo, and then that's it for the show ever for me. And then I'll be moving on.
Yeah. Speaking of moving on, we're gonna have the conclusion of Territory, issue number 3. This is the conclusion of the series, but it's the latest episode, the latest comic that we have, and we're gonna have to wait for the next Kickstarter before we get the 4th issue.
Yeah, and Blake commented on it because we were raving about issue 2, and I read this after we reviewed issue 2. And I went on Twitter and I was like, "Oh my god, I need issue 4 right now because this issue just goes absolutely all out." And
it gets better every issue.
Yes, it does. And when the campaign was going up for this, he was like, "I promise you guys." He kept saying on Twitter, "There's going to be kaiju action in this. It's going to be packed." And this issue just hits the ground running. Questions are getting answered, and something massive happens, and I was just like, "Wow, that happened."
I kind of thought this was going to happen.
Oh, all right. So let's
this kind of confirmed all of my thoughts, like of what I thought was going to happen. Kind of happened in this.
All right. So let's get into it then.
All right. So last comic we left off, they returned to their village from their pilgrimage, and it is destroyed. This issue we open up, and we see some tufts of bloody fur all over the place, and they're like, "Oh, like what's going on?" They're like freaking out, and then
one of the villagers picks up like this scale. He's like, "We gotta hurry before the beast returns." And it's like a big orange scale. And Alki is like, "Oh, the great one." Alki says, "Oh, the great one will protect them, but will protect everybody." But the dad's like, "No, you gotta get out of here." He wants Alki to leave.
And so is the
dad's
healer.
injured. Her mom's injured. And the healer's like, "Yeah, the great one's gonna protect us all."
Yeah, I think they put way too much faith in this healer because he just seems to steer everybody in the wrong direction.
Yeah, because everyone's like retreat, and the healer's like, no, we shouldn't retreat. This is a test of the unfaithful. We want to see, the Great One wants to see who's unfaithful. So we got to stand here and know that the Great One's going to protect us, and it's going to show strength for the Great One. And then all of a sudden, boom, 2 kaiju jumping out. You got the Great One, the Great Horn, and this new guy. What's the new guy's name?
I don't know if he got a name.
But this new one's like it's like a snake lizard hybrid type of thing.
It's very strange. It almost kind of reminds me of like the Chinese dragons, like that type of style. Oh, because it's got like I think it's definitely inspired for it. You can also say it might be like Utena type of vibes.
True, yeah, because we do go with the tribal.
And it's got like the snake and like the horns and the claws and the hair. It definitely gives off those vibes. But really cool design. And
absolutely.
So like it was kind of just like, okay, we're all gonna stand here, and then like big crash, 2 kaiju fighting, and everyone's just like, run.
Yeah, there's just like they're like pretty much like in a wrestling match, like rolling all over the place, just clawing at each other, and people cannot like get out of the way fast enough. So Alkia begins running with her parents, And her dad's like, seriously, just go. We're slowing you down, go. And she's like, no. And like, I don't know if he like pushed her or something,
He
or
did.
she just saw it
Something
coming.
happened.
And just a foot comes down, and we can only assume that her parents got crushed.
Yeah.
And she survived, and the battle kind of just keeps going, and Nebo comes by, and she's kind of like, I gotta find my parents. He's like, no, we gotta take shelter, and then we'll go find your parents after it's clear. So he takes her. They go down into like I don't know what you call it, almost like a sewage, like drain runoff thing, almost like
Almost like the aqueducts, like the
yeah,
LA River type of thing.
yes, like from them.
Yes. Yeah, so her arms popped out and he resets it for her and they kind of taking a little bit of coverage. Then they kind of end up seeing like the Great Horns losing the fight. I mean, you can see in the artwork he's bleeding all over the place, and this other monster doesn't really even seem to be kind of phased by what's happening. It's almost like the Great Horn's just trying to survive it. And he ends up defeating Great Horn, and he's just sitting in like a pool of water. And, you know, the villagers are kind of just like, what's going on? I thought he was like all powerful, the most powerful.
Yeah, and they're kind of like, oh man, our god is dead.
Yeah.
And then one of the villagers was like, that's because he's a false prophet. So the healer's finally getting called out on his BS.
Yeah.
And one of the other guys is like, how dare you? And he's like in front of the Great One, and they begin beating the crap out of this guy. They call the healer a false prophet. And the healer's like, no. This is still a test. We shouldn't be doing this. We should be reveling in this. We should be touching the Great One's, bathing in his blood, touching his fur. This is a blessing. I don't know how it's a blessing. Their god just died in front of them. He clearly, I don't know. He clearly was not the Great One.
Yeah.
So,
and then it ends with the issue with them kind of being like, oh, like there's like part of the city that's kind of like wooded, and they're like, oh, like there's like a noise coming from over there, and you see this other tribe coming out that's clearly worshiping this
other kaiju,
the other kaiju, snake lizard Utena-ish inspired kaiju. And it's kind of what I thought was thinking about last time. Is like, is there going to be another tribe with this kaiju? Did they set up issue 2 to kind of be like, well, we displaced the tribe, and
so now this tribe's going to displace us?
Yeah, this tribe's going to displace us, and calls out, you know, are these kaiju actually gods? Do they have powers? We did see those like fish people last issue. Is the Great One's tribe are the survivors of what I'm assuming is going to be a war, or it's going to be like a, hey, either you join us, worship this new kaiju, or you're going to be exiled type of thing. Are they going to be turning into like bear people? Like, where's this going?
Yeah, like, are those fish people like offspring of that kaiju from last issue, or did the worshippers turn into those people? I think that's an interesting concept there.
It would be really unexpected, I feel like. So it would be interesting to see like what that was. I can still want want an explanation of that.
Yeah, and like what that mysterious goo was from the first issue that was going to heal that villager. I forgot who it was that was sick that first issue. Like, what is that goo? Maybe it's something from a kaiju and it causes transformation or some sort of mutation, or something happens to these people. Like right now, these people they said they want to bathe in the Great Horn's blood. Like, maybe there's side effects to that, you know?
Yeah, I'm really curious. I also wonder, like, has it been said like how many issues this is planned for?
I believe it's 5. So
5.
It's just the 4th one and then the 5th one.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I could just
right.
see this going and going and going.
Yeah, I absolutely can.
Oh
I
man,
mean, who knows? Maybe he's got plans. Maybe it's just the first arc.
it
It
could
could
be
be,
just the first arc.
and then maybe it'll be territories with like a subtitle or something like that. You know,
Yeah, man, uh,
it's excellent.
yeah, it really is. Excited for the fourth issue. Can't wait to see if my theories play out, how it goes, what the dynamics can be with this new tribe.
This healer is a complete ass.
I hope he
So
gets his comeuppance. I really do.
I really do. I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna just jack him up, and I was like, the tribe's gonna turn on him, but no, the tribes were like just infighting with each other. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the motives of this new tribe are.
yeah, I don't know if they're gonna be peaceful or if they're just gonna be all out war. And it really doesn't seem like many people in this tribe besides Nebo and Alkia have like any abilities. 'Cause anytime anything is going down, it's always the two of them. They're the two hunters for the tribe. Like they haven't really shown another hunter yet. There is that. There was that like one big guy that was kind of like, all right, we're gonna keep your parents here, like telling them not to go out and stuff. I forgot the dude's name.
Yeah.
Drawing a blank on it. He was from the first issue also. But like there hasn't been like any other like standout like, oh, this is the other hunter that kind of they do their own thing. Like I feel like they are the hunters.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see because, like, if that tribe does offer, like, an ultimatum, like, oh, join us and worship this new god, I don't know if Nebo is interested in that because he barely seemed interested in this one.
No. No. He might just join for survival though because that's what he's about.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's just trying to live. He's not here to worship anything.
Yeah.
He might be saying like, "Yeah, I'll join your crew because these guys are nuts." He's like, "They're screwed, and they got nobody to protect them now. They have no god." And
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the one dude that already says that the Great One's a false god and that the healer's a false prophet. I'm sure he'd be ready to jump on board. So I'm sure that some of the tribe will be split. And
Yeah.
so they're already outnumbered because if the tribe splits, plus you got the other crew there, they're already lost.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
Alkia is going to be who it comes down to because she's put all this faith. She's getting groomed by this healer.
Yeah, kind of be like the next leader almost.
So she's going to be the big swing because Nebo's the one, like I said, Nebo's the one hunter. She's the other hunter right now. So I think she's going to be a big swing for the tribe.
Yeah. Well, we will have to see.
Yeah, we just got to wait.
Yeah.
And the next comic series that we will be covering is Fall of Man. Currently, they have a novel and issue 1 out, and the issue 2 campaign is running right now on fundmycomic.com. It's about at the 41% mark last I checked, which is pretty good. It's only been a few days, and I'm really hoping that gets funded because I got the first bundle, I did the unboxing, and it looks fantastic. So just flipping through the comic, I haven't got to read it yet because I'm waiting to do it for the next episode, but the art looks fantastic.
I read the comic.
Oh, you read it?
Yeah, I read it on Christmas Eve. I had nothing to do. I was sitting around.
Oh, you read the digital?
Yes.
See, I waited for the physical.
I literally had like an hour to sit down and do nothing, like waiting for everybody to get ready on Christmas Eve. So I just read it.
Oh man, did you read the novel yet? Then
I have not read the novel yet. I wish there was a digital version of the novel, because I don't know. I just have. I feel like I have more time to read on my iPad than to bring a book to work.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm weird. It's not a very big book though. I could probably read this during a whole lunch break.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's probably day or two's lunch break if I'm taking notes on it.
Yeah. Yeah. With notes, it's going to take longer.
Yeah. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. So the issue 2 campaign is going right now, and there's also a book 2. I don't know if the book 2 is a prequel, but I'm really looking forward to that. I highly recommend the feature tier because you get literally everything. Like when I unboxed the issue one, I did not realize how much stuff I was getting with it.
Yeah.
First, the 49 backers get a magnet too. I think they're at like 29 now, so there's still 20 more you guys get in there for the free magnet.
Yeah.
Really cool. Like I said, really cool story. They have a catch-up tier too. You could get the just if you just want to get the comics, just get a taste of it. You get the comics, or you can get the featured catch-up tier, which is double feature tier basically.
Yeah.
But check it out. And Kaijus and Cowboys is going right now. Tons of indie comics are going right now. Sector 7, May 15th. Really looking forward to that. And tomorrow, actually, which will be when this goes live, it's live. There's I really just stumbled on it like 2 days ago. It's called Megalith, I believe. Let me just grab it on my phone here, guys. Sorry, yeah, it might be a little rude.
No worries. I also did want to mention that there is a very small kaiju related project. I'm looking for it over on Twitter. Oh man, so much on our timeline.
Yeah. Megalith it's a graphic novel that apparently it's been worked on for 5 years, and it looks like a chunky book. Art looks really cool. It's about a giant structure appears and it becomes this giant like monster like robot thing. I haven't read much up on it yet. It literally just popped up on my radar like shortly before this. That goes live tomorrow. I'm gonna look into it. We'll be tweeting it out if it's something I think you guys will be into. It's just insane the amount of indie projects going on right now for when it comes to kaiju comic. It's awesome.
Yeah. In addition to that, there's also the Unknown Heroes anthology, volume 2.
Unknown Heroes, yes.
So there's 2 Toku-ish stories in that, and that's Project K, which seems to be almost like 2 like beast kids. Like one of them turns into a moth, and one is more like animalistic. And then there's also going to be The Feather and the Flame, which is done by Steve Coburn, who also does Neon Cyber Uprising. That's an amazing story.
I know.
So
you've
just
been
to get
raving
this,
about that.
So just to get this, it's kind of, I'm probably gonna end up getting the digital because the physical tiers are a little pricey for 2 short stories that I'm interested in. But if they do a volume 3, I might end up getting like the whole catch-up pack.
The whole catch-up thing. Yeah, you want to dip your toes in to see how it is.
Yeah, on the
and
first...
they're local guys too.
Yeah, local.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
They're like right over here.
Yeah.
They're super close to me. They're in Sayville, and I'm in Kings Park, and I believe I saw one of them limbs kind of like by where I work too. But
yeah, crazy.
Really cool.
Yeah. So
that looks really, really cool. It's got all different superhero stories and stuff, and yeah, that Feather and Flame looks incredible. And once we do Fall of Man, we're gonna do Neon next. Yeah. I know you're dying to go off on that one.
I know.
Bugging me. You're like, did you read it yet? I haven't seen you this excited for any of the stories.
This was really good.
Yeah.
It was like something where I was just like, this can be a cartoon, this could be an anime, like this can be on Netflix. Like
it was that good.
Yeah, like I can see like merchandise, all the stuff. Like Territory can be a Max show.
Like dark. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But like this could be like a Netflix kids thing.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Not like kids, more like
it could transcend age ranges, like
a Static Shock.
Oh,
that's how I would say. Like it appeals to older people, appeals to younger people. It's got that wide appeal.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, Territory. If you put that on TV, it's like a dark story. I'd want it to be gritty, adult. Like
Territory needs to be like TV, MA, or like rated R or something.
Yeah, I would want it to be super gritty, dark.
Yeah. So,
and that's it for indie.
That's it for indie news.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
There's just so much you just threw at everybody right now.
Yeah. Moving on, we have Godzilla the Series, Episode 6, Cat and Mouse. Bit of an interesting episode. So
I liked it.
It starts off with a date between Nick and Audrey, and she's like, oh, no, it's actually not how it starts. So it starts with somebody who's experiencing homelessness, and it looks like newly, because he's got like a full suit on and everything. So
yeah, maybe some stocks crashed on him or something.
Who knows? But
he's in an alley, taking through a dumpster for dumpster pizza.
Yeah, he's getting dumpster pizza, and he like shoos away these mice, and then he's just about to eat the pizza, which cartoon pizza always looks so good because it's just like goo.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like dripping all the time.
So I'm always like, I want that dumpster pizza. But so he shoos away these mice that are like trying to get his pizza, and then through the shadows, like this giant rat comes through, and he's like,
pizza rat.
He like throws the pizza at the rat and like runs away. Which I'm like, last episode we're talking about the problem of like these like billionaires that just do whatever the hell they want and destroy the environment and everything. This episode is like specifically targeted at New York City, with like all that's in the news now with New York is like their rat problem.
Well, it's been a rat problem for literally forever in New York City.
Yeah, but now there's somebody who's actually hired as the rat czar, and their only job is to figure out how to kill all the rats. Like, it's becoming a huge problem in the city.
Oh, there's all documentaries on it too. I mean, there's like these people that go with like their dogs, like rat hunting at night in the city.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
I was just like the giant rats. Like now they're getting like these giant rats, and then this has giant rats. And I was just like, man, I'm like, these episodes are just like hitting on current topics, and just the complete mismanagement of New York City rat problems. So anyway, giant rat aside, it cuts to Nick and Audrey, which we haven't seen her in, I think, since the beginning of the series.
First episode or the second episode,
and she's been seen. She says, she goes, we haven't seen each other for 3 weeks. And he's like, yeah, we've been busy. And she's kind of like, what are we doing with this relationship? And he's like, hey, like, we're both busy people, we're professionals, like, they make it work, we just gotta make it work. And she ends up getting called away by oh my god, I forget the guy's name.
Hank Azaria's guy.
Hank Azaria's guy. He had like such a weird name in the Godzilla movie. I can't remember what it was.
Name too, honestly.
But
we'll say Hank Azaria.
Hank Azaria. Yeah. So he takes her away
because Nick gets called away as well. Too.
Yeah, he gets a hot tip on a story. Nick gets called away because some guys in the subway found a tunnel, and he's just like, I guess we'll take a rain check. Cuts to Nick in the tunnel with the whole team, and they're like, what, like they're going through the tunnels, like what's going on.
They're like, yeah, these were clearly dug out.
I keep forgetting what the French chick's name is. But she's like,
Monique.
She's like, why are we wasting our time on this? This is like childish. Like, what are we doing with like mice tunnels in a subway? Who cares?
Yeah.
And Craven's driving Nigel through the tunnel, and like he had his voice changed again, and I'm like, I didn't really notice the voice being that different.
Well, he was saying like phrases from the mom as usual.
Yeah, but like it wasn't like too crazy. So he gets he gets angry, and then he's driving through the tunnel, and then there's a giant rat that comes and destroys Nigel. But don't worry, Nigel will be back. Nigel will be back.
Nigel's always back.
But
then we go and we see Audrey is interviewing the guy that saw the rat, and he's like, the whole time during this interview, he's like, I'm getting paid for this, right? How much am I getting paid?
He needs money. But like, his story sounds like crazy.
Sketchy.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. She's like, I got pulled out of my date to interview this guy.
Yeah.
She's like, this guy just wants money.
So cuts back to Nick and Monique on the boat, and Monique's like, kind of like saying like she doesn't really want to be with Heat anymore because she doesn't think it's worth the time.
Yeah.
And
She's like, we're investigating a tunnel.
Yeah, and
So
she's
and
kind of like stuck, like your government's making her stay there, and
yeah, and she's like, you guys have playing pranks on each other with this robot.
yeah,
There's no leadership, and this whole time they're kind of being followed by a rat.
yeah,
And then they're having this whole argument on the dock, and then Godzilla pops up, and he's kind of like just disregarding them, seeking out this rat. I guess he senses it in its territory, and he's been chasing this rat. Um, and then it cuts to the Brooklyn Bridge, or one of the bridges going into the city. And there's just a bunch of these
insurrectionists. Where were they on January 6th?
A bunch of these guys with guns
and rocket launchers and a red pickup truck.
And then a pickup truck.
One of them's dressed like Crocodile Dundee for some reason.
They were definitely a colorful bunch.
Yeah.
And they're listening to the radio, and they're like, "See, I told you we're going to be able to get a big trophy." Like they're coming to the city to hunt something, and at first you kind of assume it's the rats, but then you realize they're actually there to hunt Godzilla. So then it cuts back to Audrey still interviewing the guy. They're wrapping it up. And she's about to get back in the van, and there's a rat just kind of pops up. She's like, "Oh, that was a dud." And the rat attacks them, and they hop in the van, and the redneck guys kind of show up right as the rat's there, and they start shooting at the rat. They're like, "Oh, this will be early target practice." And then they begin driving around the city. Godzilla shows up. They're like, "Oh, there's our key target." So they're like, "Oh, we're going to get Godzilla." So Archie's driving around in the van. The redneck guys are driving their pickup truck. Godzilla's rampaging through the city trying to get this rat, and he's just causing tons of collateral damage because he's like zoned in. Like, I'm gonna get this rat. Like, he doesn't pay any attention to what's going on around him. And the big thing in the '98 movie was the Chrysler Building for the mayor.
Yes.
And these redneck guys go to shoot Godzilla, and they're like got the whole new Chrysler Building top with the needle on a crane, and they hit the Chrysler Building and destroy it
with a rocket launcher.
With a rocket launcher, that causes the building to just drop, and yeah.
So, they bring in the colonel, and he's like, "Hey, like." The mayor's like freaking out because he's like, I am done with this. He's like, why is Godzilla here? Because he's supposed to be in Jersey anyway. Yeah. And we have these giant rats. So Nick's there with the colonel, and he's like, hey, listen, like, I can take care of this. You guys don't need the military. And the mayor's like, no, we're past this. Military's going to do an airstrike. We're taking out Godzilla, and we're taking out these rats. So he's like, okay, well, how long do I have till you guys are ready? And he goes, 2 hours. 2 hours, and that's it. I don't care if you're out. 2 hours. So they track down Godzilla. It sounds like Godzilla's just hunting these things.
Yeah, Godzilla's just like trying to like clear his territory out and be like, yo, this is my zone, not you guys.
They go into like the underground subway system, and turns out that the hunters are there as well, trying to continue the hunt. And they end up having a cave-in. So they're kind of trapped together, and it's the whole, like, can they coexist to survive type of thing. Nick gets warned off with Monique and, like, the headhunter, and the other two hunters are with the rest of the team.
Well, the other two hunters actually end up with them, too. All the hunters and Monique end up with Nick.
Oh, okay. I was photoshopping while I was watching this, so I kind of got my signals crossed a bit.
Yeah, the rest of the crew was kind of like loose, and so they end up like in like the main nest area after getting taken by some of the other rats, and Nigel's there. And for some reason, Nick is gonna hack Nigel to send out a signal to say that they're still there.
They're running out of time.
Yes.
And they have to get a signal out to the military. He wants to get a signal out to the other part to say, like, hey, leave us. We're stuck. Don't wait for us. So that's kind of exactly what happens. But I do want to note that Aubrey does make a stand. She does not want to leave.
Yes.
But kind of the other team gets like the best of her and is like, this isn't what Nick wants. Like, he would hate for you to get injured during this.
Yeah.
So Godzilla kind of lures away the rats. And one thing I do like about this show is they didn't just have like one model for the rats. Like, oh, this is the character model for the rats. They had like mole man rats and like all these different looking
giant,
ones.
Bigger guy, like the
he had almost like a baboon face.
Yeah.
Like a
with like tusk and stuff.
Yeah, like a Rafiki looking type of guy.
Yeah.
Like, it was like really, because I feel like most cartoons, they would just phoned it in, one character model, just draw a bunch of them. Like, they really put the effort in here.
Yeah, they had like the hairless, like baby rats kind of. Yeah.
And so, kind of interesting idea what ends up happening, because I feel like it's an ability of 98 Godzilla that goes extremely underappreciated, and that's his burrowing ability.
Yes.
So, it's a kind of cool way he takes out the rats is he's burrowing down, caves crashing in, so they're following him, going through the burrow, and he gets out to the water and escapes, and as the tunnels close behind the rats, the water from the ocean rushes in and kind of takes care of them all.
Yeah, that was really cool. So he basically ends up flooding out the rat's nest and basically drowning them. And what's interesting is the rat's nest was Grand Central Station. So now you have in the movie Penn Station destroyed and Grand Central Station destroyed. The two main MTA train hubs for the entire city. The train infrastructure is completely destroyed.
I mean, Grand Central, you're almost talking the whole East Coast.
Yeah.
Like everything runs through there.
Big. Yeah. Yeah.
But
nobody's taking trains in New York City in this series.
So Colonel comes back, he saves Nick and everybody,
pulls him out of the hole.
Yeah. And they're with the hunter, and the hunter's like, we deserve our credit for all the hard work that we did. And the mayor's like, that rocket launcher, is that the same rocket launcher that destroyed the Chrysler building?
And the redneck guys get taken away.
Yeah. And
then cuts back to Nick and Audrey trying to set up their next date, and then they both get phone calls, and it kind of teases. I don't know if this is what the next episode's about, but Nick gets a call about a giant lobster monster in Manila. So I don't know if that's what the next episode's going to be about or not.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not sure what the next episode's titled, but
it doesn't seem to be what it's about.
Oh, maybe it's a lost episode.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a phony call.
Maybe, adventures off screen, leave some mystery.
Yeah.
But pretty solid episode. I think all these Godzilla episodes are pretty solid and well written, honestly. Like, I feel like they try to hit on issues. They try to include a variety of characters, and they try to switch up the storyline. It's just not Godzilla's fighting a giant monster. Godzilla's fighting another giant monster. Like, they're always different.
Well, one thing, I said this. This has been years now since we've seen the series. I don't remember how it ends. So, watching these episodes is like watching them for the first time again for us.
Yes, basically. Because I can't remember. I know we watched it, but I can't remember it.
The way the episodes play out, they're great. I like the crew. I really think it would be cool if they did kind of like what they did with Batman the Animated Series, if they did a comic series that kind of continued it. That would be really cool. I don't know.
I don't know what the licensing is for that.
I'm sure the licensing thing is a complete headache for that, but it would be a really cool thing if they were able to pull that off.
Well, I know they can't call him Godzilla anymore.
Yeah.
It has to be a Zilla.
Yeah.
Zilla 98 comic book. We'll see. Yeah. I'm going to be interesting. I don't know. I'm assuming IDW would probably have to do that.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So I know they do own the Godzilla.
Yeah. Do they do the... do they have the Ninja Turtles? Who has Ninja Turtles? Yeah.
Yeah, they have the Ninja Turtles.
They have Ninja Turtles, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be up their alley, like, 90s cartoon throwback.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of a 90s throwback, main event time, we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. And as you see right up top, I didn't use a shot from the episode or anything. I used the cast photo because if you just look at this amazing team that they set up here, you know, people are like upset because they didn't have like Amy Jo or stuff like that. Like, just look at who they were able to get back. These are people that we have not seen since the beginning. We got Billy, we got Zach. Honestly, pretty amazing that we're finally seeing them back here.
Yeah.
I know. Walter Jones, who's the actor who plays Zach, has come back and done some voice acting stuff for Power Rangers. As far as like, I think he's voiced a few of the monsters, but he's never officially made an on-screen reappearance with the franchise, and that's a really big deal. And same thing with David Yost. I know he went through his trials through the whole Zeo season. I'm sure probably through Mighty Morphin, being a gay actor, he got like hazed very, very poorly. And for them to finally make amends and bring him back onto the franchise, I think it was a big deal. He was definitely obviously Tommy was everyone's favorite, but as far as like original team, Billy,
he stuck around the longest out of all.
Billy was the best. He was the tech guy, and then in Zeo he was the mentor. Like, that's how good of a ranger that he was, that he didn't need to be a ranger in Zeo. He was the mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really happy that they finally got to see kind of a somewhat of a wrapping up to what happened to him, instead of him having a space girlfriend. I think that was probably one of the poorest write-offs, but they also didn't have him on set anymore. So I think they kind of did what they could, but also tried to do it in the most disrespectful way possible. So all the negative stuff out of the way now.
This was a really great episode.
Amazing.
Really positive.
I don't know if they could have done a better job. I really
don't think so.
Given who they had for cast and their limitations, this was probably the best that they could have possibly done. Starts off with a fight. You have the whole original 6 there. They're fighting Robot Rita and a bunch of putties, and Rita decides that she's going to trade off some of her magic for a spell that kills, because she's just got to get rid of these Rangers. So she goes to hit Billy, and Trini jumps in the way, takes the blast for him, and just gets disintegrated. And it's kind of like one of the more like serious moments I think I've ever seen in a Power Rangers series.
Yeah.
Where like a Ranger actually died, and instead of it being like, okay, we're going to be heroes and fight and destroy, overcome this, it's no. Everything stops.
Yeah.
They become humans again, and it becomes a human story for probably like the first 20 minutes of this show.
Yeah.
And, they have to go back. It's Zach and Billy, they're at Trini's house, and they have to tell, her daughter what happened.
Yeah. And they're kind of arguing in the house. So Zach's like, I don't think we got to tell her the complete truth. We shouldn't tell her. And he's like, Billy's like, this is different. Like, this is like her mom. And they're like, she deserves the right to know what happened. And they're going back and forth. And Billy goes, she needs to know that Rita killed her mom. And then it walks in with her hearing that. And then it kind of cuts to a year later, back at the house again. We see Zach is living with her now. And she's training. She's running through the garden, doing crane kicks and everything.
Yeah, and he's kind of become her guardian.
Yes. And what's interesting is, like, we get a little backstory of where everyone's at in this. So Billy owns like a tech company, appropriately.
Yeah.
And Zach was apparently a congressman, but he stepped down to kind of become her guardian.
Which honestly works great for the character, because that was the whole reason why he left the team to begin with, was to go on this like foreign delegate They want to be. He wanted to become a delegate to kind of like diplomatically solve Earth's issues. He didn't want to have to fight anymore. He wanted, he wanted to solve real big issues and have a bigger change on the Earth besides just being a ranger. So for that to be what he's been doing is, really good, testament to, kind of keeping with what he's been doing. They could have just as easily just been like, oh yeah, he's just been a ranger.
Yeah, he's just been cruising around, yeah.
It kind of explains why we've always had Adam come back as the Black Ranger.
Yeah, because he was still his congressman.
Yeah. And now we don't have Zach as the we don't have Adam as the Black Ranger in this series because, as we'll learn later on, he's busy forming what will soon be SPD, but is now SPA. So Space Patrol Alpha.
Yeah. And, so they're with Min, which is Trinity's daughter. It's a year later to the day Trinity died. And Zach's like, listen, we got to get going. We don't want to be late. Everyone else is waiting for us. So he's kind of walking up the hill, having a little talk, reminiscing with Min about her mom. And then all of a sudden we hear Robo, Rita, and then we hear Tommy's, Kimberly's, and Jason's voice morphing. And I believe Billy was there too at the time.
Yeah, because they were hiding behind his car.
Yes. So they're fighting Rita, Robo Rita. This time she's got Snizzard and Minotaur with her.
Yes.
And they're fighting, and Snizzard keeps, every time they try to fight him, he's got those claw fang hands, and it's injecting him with venom, freezing him, and then covers him in snakes, and then they get shrunken down, and Rita just keeps picking them off one by one. And Billy's the only one standing. Zach and Min are kind of watching. And Billy kind of retreats to his car, and they take off, and the car flies away. The car could fly.
Well, it's the same flying car from I think it's like the second or third episode. They had to get to the transporter wasn't working, and they had to get back to the command center, so Billy just makes a flying car.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember that. That's crazy.
So this is the same. It says 2 on it, so I guess he remade the car.
Oh. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was a really good callback. I felt like I was like, that's a deep cut. I'm like, that's something that only appeared in like one episode for like a couple minutes.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, I'm glad you remember that one.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, oh my god, they got the flying car. The second I saw the car, I was like, oh man, it's the flying car. But yeah, so they get back and they're like, oh my god, what's going on? Robo Rita's like taking over everything now. Like we lost
another 3 Rangers.
Yeah, another 3 Rangers, which was a really good way to write off the people who weren't in it. Again, no Austin St. John. I don't know. We didn't get an official word as to if he wasn't available, if he declined, if some of the comments that he's made in the past, or if his current legal issues got in the way of him doing this. Not quite sure.
Yeah.
But Amy Jo just said she didn't want to do it. JDF, well, he never commented, but Amy said that JDF declined. We don't know exactly what the story was, and probably never will.
No.
But we honestly, the story was about Zach, Billy, and Trini. Well,
yeah, it really was kind of good that they weren't in there to see us
had
about
so many returns.
Yes,
we don't need.
It really gave him the time. It really gave him the time to focus on Zach, Trini, and Billy.
Yeah,
and it was really important.
Yeah. So we're back at Cranston Tech, which is the old command center. So Cranston Tech is on the upper floors, and in the basement is a modernized version of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers command center. So which is kind of funny because in it's not Zeo. I think it is. No, it is Zeo.
Is it in space? Oh no, it was
Zeo. They're in the basement of the command center.
Yeah.
And then I think in Turbo they go even further into the basement to do a different command center, but it's in the basement, but it's still the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers command center, but updated to look a little bit newer. And we have Alpha 9 there.
9.
So, we have the same conversation. It's Zach, Minnie, and Billy. And she's just kind of like, well, this is all your fault, Billy. Like, you're the reason why my mom's not here, and you're the reason why these Rangers were taken away.
Yeah.
Which I was like, damn.
Yeah. And then we get a flashback that kind of explains what happened. So it turns out when Robo Rita came back the previous year, we see how she came back. Billy was trying to find Zordon, and in doing so, he ended up pulling out Rita instead, and her energy fused with Alpha 8 at the time.
Yeah.
And that's how we got
Robo
Rita instead of regular Rita. She went with the robot host instead.
Which, again, really good writing, because I know people were online, they were complaining, they're like, well, Zordon purified Rita. She's good. We saw her in Mystic Force. I don't understand how she turned evil again and why she's a robot. It's like, okay, well, Zordon wiped out the negative energy, and it's the negative energy that came back and manifested on Alpha. So they just like perfectly explain all the plot holes as to how this is even possible. It's like
they really did an excellent job with this.
They did a great job.
And it was such a fun watch too.
Yeah, and I think it was the perfect length. 1 hour. It didn't need to be any longer.
No, it didn't feel too long. It didn't feel too short.
Yeah. So, Billy and Zach kind of have a heart-to-heart, and it's kind of at the end of the day, they're like, hey, we need to get other Rangers here. So, while Billy's working on that, Zach kind of ends up having a heart-to-heart with Mina, because he was like, yo, you're okay there?
Yeah.
I kind of just went a little hard on Billy there.
You kind of blamed a lot of deaths and poured a lot of blood on Billy.
Yeah, and, he kind of explains that whole flashback, and it's like, hey, he's trying to bring Zordon back. He was basically like our father figure, and he didn't intentionally mean for any of this to happen.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I should be a Ranger, and he's like, you're not ready to be a Ranger because you want to do this for revenge, and that's not what Rangers do. That's what Rita does.
Yeah.
So he's like, you just go to school, you do your thing. We'll take care of this. This is Ranger business. He's trying to be a good dad. Really cool, because they just explain a bunch of plot holes, and they get back Rocky. They get back Cat.
Well, before that happens, Rita's like, all right, I need more. She's got this device that she's shrunk the Rangers down, and their energy's powering it. She's like, I need more Rangers now. She's like, I gotta lure more out to fight them. So she just unleashes a massive army of putties
worldwide
across the globe.
Yeah,
they're attacking every continent, every country. So Alpha initiates this emergency protocol to summon Rangers to the base, and then we get Rocky and Cat.
So that's they were the second Red and Pink Rangers. Honestly, Rocky and Cat are great. I know people want the original ones, but I mean,
Rocky's a firefighter now.
Yeah.
Cat is Tommy's wife and mother of his child, JJ.
JJ, yeah. So we don't.
JJ is teased.
Yeah, we don't get to see.
He was at a karate tournament. Though.
Yeah, we didn't get to see him. We got to see him in the. Oh my god, I'm blanking on which was that Ninja Steel. We got to see him in the Ninja Steel very, very briefly, and obviously we saw him in, I think it was the Zeo Christmas special, where he was a Red Ranger of a team. But they've kind of retconned that now for him to be, if you follow the comic book, he's like the green SPD Ranger, but he has the Dragon Shield. But yeah, they've kind of like really. I think they're going to do something because they keep teasing JJ. So I think eventually we're going to get something with him. I don't know if it's going to be in 5 years or something, but I think we're going to get JJ as a Ranger.
All right.
I just don't know when.
Or who.
or who it's going to be. But they end up splitting up, and it kind of doesn't go super great at the beginning.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think they didn't split up they didn't split up right away though.
No, they were on the ropes because remember they went there and they were like, "Oh my God, this is a Minotaur. Keep tracking us down. We can't do anything."
Oh yeah, so yeah, they go out to fight the Minotaur. Yeah, they go out. They fight a bunch of putties at the first spot, and Snizzard and Minotaur have a way to track them when they're morphed. So they teleport like 2 times, and then they demorph, and they're like, "Oh, we got to figure out a way to get around this." Um,
So they make a plan to lure them to the dump. And
since they're both covered in metal.
yeah, they're both covered in metal, and they're going to use a magnet to attract them and capture them. During this time, we get another cut back to Rita, and we see that she has a lot more Rangers now.
Yeah, and this was really cool. This cut because she's got like when she was at the cemetery, she just had like a rack with like the 3 of them on the top shelf, but she's got like that shelf's filled out, and now she's got a second shelf going.
Yeah, she has. I think she has.
She had a ton. Beast Morpher, In Space, Lost Galaxy, Zeo. She had the Phantom Ranger even.
Yeah. Because I was like, is that the Phantom Ranger? She has Dino Thunder. She had the Dino Thunder. I think red, white, and blue.
This guy. I'll focus up.
Yeah, not focusing.
Oh.
The Phantom Ranger, which would have been a cool reveal for it to be Billy, but it never was revealed who the Phantom Ranger was.
Yeah. I was like, who is that? And I'm like, oh,
because I saw it. I was like, is that the I'm like, did they really do a deep cut on the Phantom Ranger?
Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't get like Blue Centurion or something.
Yeah, they had like a lot of teams.
Yeah, a lot. I was really surprised. And like Beast Morpher, they had red, blue, and gold.
They had like practically like the whole team.
They had Lost Galaxy Red, which I thought that was a pretty funny. No, it's not Dark Out. No, they had oh my God, I'm blanking on the team. Wild, the guy that killed the guy with the sword. That Ranger was on the rack. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I guess they really don't want us any chance of ever seeing that guy. They're like,
but they did free him.
They did free him.
Spoiler.
So, really cool cut. Mina steals her mother's morpher, and she's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep, using this." So she goes to Ernie's juice bar, and putties show up there. She goes to morph, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So what ends up happening is Rocky and Zach go there. They morph. Big throwback to Ernie's juice bar, which is, I was really happy to see that set, that they were able to recreate that set. They did a really good job, because I doubt that that's just something that they had laying around.
No.
So they had to rebuild that whole thing, and it was pretty good as far as a recreation of that set. Cuts over back to the dump. We have Billy, Rocky, and Kat there, I believe, right? Billy, Rocky, Kat? Yeah. They morph, they lure Snizzard and Minotaur over.
Zach stays with Min back at the base.
Yes. They capture them. Min's like watching this, and she's like, we gotta go there, we gotta destroy them. Why are they leaving them there? And Zach's again explaining, like, hey, we've neutralized the threat. We don't need to destroy people or kill them. Like, again, that's something that Rita does.
Yeah.
And she ends up running off again.
Well, and then they also get a call with the SPA crew, and they're like, "Oh, we got the signal. We're trying to come back to Earth. Your cloaking technology, Billy, has really helped us a lot." And so Billy segues to Billy handing out all the Rangers the cloaking technology, except for Min, of course.
Yeah.
So they're like, "All right, we have Minotaur and Snizzard here. We're going to bring the fight to Rita because they picked up the signal of her moon base. So they're like, we'll sneak in there, take him out." So they leave, and Min steals one of the cloaking devices, from Alpha, and she sneaks out, steals Billy's car, and she's like, "I'm gonna go to the scrapyard and finish this job." So she drives to the scrapyard to, I don't know what her plan was, to drop the magnet and crush the two
And
of
there's a
them
really
or
funny
what.
scene where she's just like plowing
Yes,
down putties.
yes. There is a scene on her way to the scrapyard. There's like, guys like, "Oh, my boyfriend's in danger." She's like, "Well, I guess it's time for me to practice." So she just mows him down with the car,
And like
and then just
zero
takes
regard
off.
for the
And
two guys. Zero
yeah,
regard for them.
she's like, "Peace, I helped you."
And I'm like, I'm sure probably the guy's like, she almost ran me over. Like, I'm sure.
Well, they were like, "Thank you." They were like so happy, like she saved them, but yeah, she kind of just flew away.
Yeah.
She gets there, but then Robo Rita's there waiting for her, and how did they end up getting out of that situation?
Oh, she kidnaps.
Oh, she kidnaps her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the other Rangers are at the base, and she brings her to the base with them. They start taking out the putties and try to destroy the device, and we learn that this device, when Rita shows up, she kind of explains the whole thing. What she's trying to do is open a portal so she could communicate with herself 30 years earlier and give her past self 30 years of knowledge
Yeah.
on the Rangers and how to defeat them.
Yeah. Just so she can kill the Rangers before they become Rangers.
Yes, she's going to say who they are and everything. So they all begin fighting in the base. They're taking out putties, Snizzard. What else? What happened next? I forgot how the rest of this played out.
So
here.
the way the rest of this plays out is,
I don't want to jump too far ahead here. I don't want to miss anything.
Well, they fight, and they basically what ends up happening is they're fighting Rita, and she goes to do the killing curse again, aims it at Billy, and Mina jumps in the way. And she gets knocked back. She doesn't get disintegrated. So that's kind of like the rally cry. They kind of fight back. They eliminate a lot of the putties, but they still haven't gotten Rita and everything yet.
And it turns out that the blast hit Min in her jacket where the yellow morpher was.
Yeah.
And then as they're trying to help her up, we see like a whole kind of Trini montage, like a tribute.
Mm-hmm.
And she sees all the memories. She's like, "Oh, I saw all my mom's memories or whatever." And they're like, "Oh, you know what this means?" And then she gets up, and like her body's like getting covered in like yellow like energy.
Yeah.
And she morphs, so they begin fighting back.
There's a really cool moment because they had her lead the morph.
Yeah, they had her lead the morph, and we get a classic Rangers morph sequence where the headshots with the morphers.
Yeah.
So it's not looking good for Rita, so she throws Snizzard out the window, and Snizzard's like, "Why? What did I do?" But then she makes him larger. Minotaur's still there, so Billy takes Min with her to fight Minotaur with the Megazord, while Zack, Cat, and Rocky stay back to fight Minotaur and Rita.
Yeah.
They quickly defeat Minotaur and the putties very quickly, I felt like.
Yeah. One of the cool things that we got a like CG recreation of the like summoning of the Zords.
Yes.
And that was really good, high quality, like pretty good, decent high quality to me. What wasn't high quality was the Zord on the moon. I felt like that was a callback to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
It totally, yes. That's instantly what I thought. The fight scene felt like it was absolutely better than the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie CG, but it still wasn't.
It wasn't as good as the CG that they used to recreate the Zords come,
Yeah.
So it made me really think it was on purpose.
Yeah. Like it was a little odd. Like I felt like it's a super simple set.
Yeah.
Like a moon set, right?
Yeah.
How hard would it have been to get the Megazord suit back, to have a man in a suit?
Oh,
they
no,
already
not
had,
at all. I'm sure there's a cosplayer that has one.
and they already have the Snizzard suit.
Yeah.
Like I get for some of the special effects parts, but like I know all the Ranger shows, even the Super Sentais, a lot of the Zord fights They've
CG
been
now.
CG animated for a while.
This new season, man, those sword fights are amazing.
Yeah, but I really felt like a man in a suit would have been perfect for this.
Yeah, it would have been cool. I don't know if they want to like get rid of like the hokey factor of it. You know, some people still have a negative connotation with, oh, it's a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're kind of trying to. Oh my god.
But I still think it would have been cool, but I didn't mind it. It wasn't horrible. I still enjoyed it. I mean, they finished off Scissored extremely quick with the the Megazord fights. I mean, even nowadays the Megazord fights, I guess because it's CG, are super fast. Like it was like pretty much a quick slice down the middle, and Snizzard was down. Minotaur was defeated. Rita was quickly defeated, and it was a very quick wrap up there at the end of the final battle between everyone.
One of the things that I thought was pretty cool was like they destroyed Rita. It was almost like she just got like stabbed in the back.
Yes, yeah, Min just like shanked her in the back.
Yeah, but you know, it kind of leads off. They're like, oh, okay, we're gonna bring these shrunken rangers down to Aquitar to restore their size. So it kind of gets around the whole like, okay, well, the story's over. Why aren't we seeing
Other people.
them back?
Yeah.
It's because they still have to get brought back to size. And you know, kind of left the series like really open.
And we get a little like tribute to Tui and Tui Train and JDF at the end with a little flashback of Kim singing, and it showed the whole crew and everything as well.
Yeah, you know, it was a good tribute. You know, it was definitely well done. You know, it's like one of those things. Just like, you know, what do you do? You know, obviously this was like a big Twee tribute episode. You know,
Yes.
they brought a new Yellow Ranger in. I'm pretty sure she's going to be in Cosmic Fury. I feel like they were heavily implying that she was going to be in Cosmic Fury and that they were going to do more of these specials.
Yeah, I mean, Billy said he's still going to work on bringing back Zordon, so that absolutely leaves it open.
Yeah.
I mean, we know Zed is going to be in Cosmic Fury as, I'm not sure if he's the main villain, but we know he's going to be in it.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the Mighty Morphin team might lend a hand. We might see some more cameos.
Yeah.
We might see Min show up. And then Billy was kind of explaining the whole, what was he doing with the power coins? I didn't.
So he's able to recreate powers now.
Yes.
So basically he was implying that like everybody can be, basically he was implying previously Rangers were passing off the power coins.
Yes.
And now
Okay.
multiple Rangers can be active Rangers at the same time. One thing that we didn't mention in the review is Aisha and Adam come back at the end. They don't do anything. They're just, hey, we're forming SPA. So,
and then they kind of pick up the Rangers like, oh, we'll take them back to Aquitar.
Which I'm sure SPA is probably going to be playing a huge role in Cosmic Fury. Which I think that's kind of what they were trying to set up.
Yeah.
I was surprised we didn't see anyone from Cosmic Fury in this, but, you know, do you want to really start getting into that? You know, just leave it for the people who are following the show.
Yeah. Yeah, this was really for everybody that watched it way back in the day in the 90s. Like, you could...
It was definitely for lapsed fans.
Yeah. You could watch this if you didn't watch anything in between.
Yeah,
I mean, I've absolutely missed some seasons in between. I didn't keep up with it. I don't know exactly where I stopped. I've seen most of Dino Charge, some of Ninja Steel. There's definitely a bunch that I have not seen.
Yeah. You know, it would be nice to see another episode. I'd love for them to bring back Zordon.
Yes.
Even if he was just like as like a narrator character, or just like a, you know what I mean, like, oh, like on the last episode of, or, you know, just,
yeah,
it's a cool voice.
Yeah.
Or like one of the, you know, almost like, You know, like the end of like the Dragon Ball Z episodes where they have like the guy saying like the moral of the story or something.
So one of my Zordon theories that I got from this, not from comics or anything, was like, because like you said, Billy was at one point the mentor. Is that maybe Billy will eventually become Zordon because he's trying to bring him back? What if Zordon's energy fuses with him?
I mean, it's possible.
Like it's a little crazy, but I feel like if Rita did it with Alpha, why can't Zordon do it with him?
Yeah, I mean, we know.
Like maybe he'd just get his knowledge or something like that.
I mean, you know that Billy's made the Master Morpher.
Yeah.
So he's already has a really good knowledge of how these powers work. And as we know from Zeo, like he made... no, not Zeo. No, it was Zeo. I think he made most of the Zords then. And like scrap Zord parts.
Yeah.
So, like obviously he has an idea of how this, like everything works. I think he's the ultimate mentor. I think he's the best Power Rangers character, the most well-rounded. I think it's really valuable that they have him on good terms with the franchise now. I think he's a really good role model.
Yeah. Definitely would like to see him back again.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, I think it's like confirmed he's in.
Yeah.
Him and Adam, at least, I think are confirmed to be in Cosmic Fury.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's in August, I believe.
Yeah. It's going to be a good, is it perfect? No, but I definitely think they're on the right track with Power Rangers.
Yeah, no, Netflix is doing something right for once.
Yeah. The whole JDS situation, it's so hard. Like, what do you do? I think this is the best tribute that they could have done without touching the character. Because, like, I kind of like in canon, he's got to be around for at least another 10 years, at least another 10, 20 years. So it's really hard to even touch him.
They really weren't, like they just, this was mainly to be focused on Trini. Like, this was already in the works. Like, his whole thing happened, like, it was done.
Sure, I'm assuming filming was wrapped.
Way wrapped, yeah.
By the time this happened.
I'm sure there will be another tribute. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I've seen people saying like, "Oh, like they should do this for every season."
That's how I feel too. Like from here on out, do a 30-year. I mean,
this is the one Zeo, and then it's like, how do you get around there being no Red Zeo Ranger?
Yeah.
One of the things that
they're gonna have to unfortunately write him out. It's gonna JJ's gonna be a big part of this. I feel like I don't know. Maybe with this whole Aquatar thing with the resizing, maybe that's how they're gonna write him out. Maybe something's gonna go wrong with that. So
we do have.
They might need to retcon. I know he's supposed to be around longer, but
the one thing that they do have from the Soul of the Dragon comic book is we know he gets injured as the Green Ranger, and because of that, he can only morph one more time as each Ranger in the descending sequence. So he has to do Dino Thunder, Turbo, Zeo, White, and Green. So they could say like, "Oh, Tommy got injured" or something.
Yeah, maybe they could do that. Maybe they'll do like an opening montage of like they did the opening of this. Everyone in suits. Maybe they'll just do an opening montage of him winning these big epic battles in those suits, and then they'll cut down to the Green doing the final battle in that opening scene, and then the torch gets passed. You don't see helmets come off or anything, but you see the torch somehow get passed.
Yeah. I mean, I would love them to do Zeo, because that is my favorite season. It's the best series.
Oh, yeah. No, it's definitely...
It's characters that you've been following for this whole time, and you get their conclusions.
Yeah.
You know, Turbo, I feel like was definitely a season where it was like they stuck around a little bit too long.
I know. I know. You said you struggled through Turbo when you were doing your
I
rewatch.
really did. And then even, I don't want to start getting negative about Turbo, but like Zio is the best season. I have
I
to
know.
watch In Space
It's
still
often well regarded, Zio.
because I
Yes.
hear people say In Space is great, Time Force is great, RPM's great. So,
No.
but yeah, that's kind of it. Excited to
Yeah.
see what's going on with the series, and
I really hope to see
yeah.
another one of these. I really do. This was really good. I really enjoyed it.
No, they did a fantastic job, and I think anybody who complains or says otherwise is honestly being incredibly unrealistic.
Yeah, I mean, I know Netflix has like, I know when they first announced this whole thing that they said, "Oh, we're going to do animated shows, movies." Supposedly, the movie thing is still in the work. Supposedly, they might even have like a live action show in the work that's going to be like more
Adult,
similar to like the movies like the movie that came out a couple of years ago. I don't know.
yeah.
We'll see.
I guess we will have to, but thank you guys for watching. I'm assuming next episode we're probably gonna be covering Ultraman. If I had to guess,
Ultraman.
final season.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Final season. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and we have Fall of Man. We're gonna be covering, and yeah, we'll see what news is going on because it is going to be All Monsters Attack. All Monsters Attack. It's going on probably as soon as this episode goes live, so we don't know what announcements are going to happen over this weekend.
Yeah, maybe there'll be some cool news there. Maybe it'll just be a cool con.
Yeah,
We'll see.
maybe it would just be a cool con, but I don't know.
You never know.
Keep your eye
You
open for
never
Gorgo news.
know. Yes, of course.
At least,
Gorgo.
at least like 100% confirmed we're going to see the figure.
Yes, definitely figures coming out. It's gonna be close. I don't know if they're gonna get the glowing eyes, but they got all the accessories besides.
Honestly,
glowing
I was
eyes.
surprised that Big Ben wasn't the final tier.
Yeah,
That was the big one for me.
and they did a survey on the glowing eyes that they were like, "Oh, do you prefer light up or do you want actual like glow in the dark?"
Glow in the dark.
Yeah, I think so too. Less electronics.
Yeah, I don't want electronics in it. Just give me like chemical glow in the dark.
chemical paint.
All right.
But thanks for watching, guys.
See ya. Bye.